because you'd be foolish not to listen to me. Actually, that's a complete lie. Anything I say here is just a recommendation. If you need further help, go to a professional. That's my disclaimer. Just saying. Well, I'm donning the glasses, which means, yes, it's time for another advice video. And I'm gonna do 1 or 2 Q&A type questions just in general, just because I asked everyone on Twitter what you wanted, and it was mostly advice, but a few people sent me Q&A questions, and I feel like, why not just answer those too? Make everybody happy, right? That's what I do here, hence the advice. I make everybody happy, or I attempt to, because maybe they don't like what I actually have to say, so it doesn't really make them happy. Going with it anyways. Our first question comes from @DominoLester. I'm assuming your name is Lucy. I'm in exams at the moment and they're hell. What advice do you have to get through them? Help. Here's my thing. All right, exams are always stressful. I am one of the worst people to take exams, and which is good for you in a sense, because that means I have plenty of advice for someone who's shitty at exams to give someone else who had really shitty exams advice. Now, one thing that I actually learned, and it kind of helps, is to have some type of trigger memory. So if you do something while you're studying, you're more likely to retain it. So if there's a smell in the air, so maybe like wear a specific cologne, maybe, or like chew a specific type of gum, any type of sensory thing that you were doing while you're studying will also help your memory while you're at the exam. So while you're studying, maybe stick a piece of gum in your mouth. If you're not allowed to have gum, maybe have some type of perfume on that you're gonna wear to the exam, so that way it sticks in your mind. Also, one other thing, real quick, I heard if you have some type of sugar, like one piece of candy, don't overdo it, but have like a piece of candy before you go into the exam, it helps whatever in your brain. Like your brain needs the sugar to help, especially if it's in the morning. Your brain needs the sugar to help, I don't know, like help you remember things or something. I don't know, I'm not a sciencey person. I just heard that it helps. And why not? I mean, if you just need a Tootsie Roll in your pocket before you go in, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, if anything, it's probably good if you're diabetic and your sugars are low, so. Our next question is from Chloe Romanu. I'm really bad at names, just throwing it out there. All right, she asked, how to get over anxieties about joining a new school. This is actually something I also know a little bit about. I went to school my entire life in one school, so I knew everyone up until 11th grade. And then finally, my senior year, I switched to a whole new school, and that was the only grade I had to go through. So I would say the hardest thing is actually finding someone to sit with at lunch. And I know it's that dreaded, where am I going to sit at lunch? I don't want to look like a loser. I don't want to feel like I'm alone. It might happen in a couple days, and you're just gonna have to just breathe through it, suffer a little bit, because you might not know anyone. However, the best thing to do is just kind of open up, be yourself. And I know that's really cheesy, and everyone hates hearing that, but it's true. Just do something, just be yourself. Don't try to fake anything, because people hate fakes. If you be a fake, people gonna hate you. I'm just saying. I mean, it seems like a lot of the fakers get all the popularity, but how many people are talking behind their backs about how much they hate that bitch? Everyone. Every goddamn one. Know that you're probably gonna be a little bit lonely at first, but once you get through the process, give it a week, give it 2 weeks, you're probably going to be fine. Just talk to people, be open. Someone's eventually going to come up to you, or you will have to have the courage to possibly go up to someone and say, hi, my name is Chloe. All right, this is very similar to the other question, but I'm gonna do it again just because there's an added thing in here. And this one's from Angelique Martins. I'm moving soon from South Africa to America. See, this is where it gets weird. Any advice on making new friends and starting high school in America? I don't know anything about South Africa. Make it even crazier. I don't know anything about it, but I think the best thing you could do from switching from a school from one country to another country is basically just to embrace the culture. That's all you have to do. I know it sounds weird and it's gonna be a little hard and you probably don't understand what I'm saying, but once you get there, kind of just like look around. I'm sure it's not too different than what you're used to. So just again, be yourself, like I said before, but also just kind of embrace the culture, embrace where you're going. Because another thing is America's not all the same. It depends on where you're going in America. There's a very drastic difference between going somewhere in the north and the south, the east and the west. So if you're going to anywhere, you just have to understand what the culture is of that city, of where you're at, and then you can go from there. So understand your culture, be yourself, have fun, just embrace it. Just embrace the fact that you're going to a whole new world and you're experiencing these new endeavors in your life. Our next question is from Cat Grassy Hoying. How do you get over breakups? Breakups. Now, I've only been through a few because I'm not that type of person. I'm just not really good. I was just never good at dating. I wasn't good at it. So going through the process and then ending up breaking up is just like annoying and everyone hates it. But here's what you do. Here's how you get over a breakup. And you're not gonna like it. You're just gonna have to be sad for a bit. Breakups are hard. And sure, you're gonna be angry. You're gonna go through the emotions. But you have to go through pretty much the steps of grief. Not necessarily that someone died, but a relationship died, a friendship died, something died somewhere, and it's more of like an emotional thing, but you do have to go through that process. Eventually, it's going to be fine. It may take a month, it may take 2 months. You can't force it to happen. You're going to have those feelings of sadness and anger and frustration, regardless. It's just gonna happen. That's what Ben & Jerry's ice cream's for, so just make sure to do it in moderation. Maybe like Ben & Jerry's ice cream one day, go to the gym one day. Find a stress reliever, and that'll also help. So just do that. Find some type of thing to take your mind off it and go through the proper process of your stages of grief, and you'll eventually get to the point where it doesn't bother you. And then you'll find someone else, and they're perfect for you, and you know, all that beautiful love story bullshit. The next one is from Sophie. What advice can you give someone who has low self-esteem and suffers from depression and anxiety? I did a whole video on anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem, so I don't want to get in... Goddamn alarms. I don't want to get into it too much because I did a whole video on it. I'm actually going to link it down below, so if you want to see anything about anxiety, depression, and all that kind of stuff, go watch that video because that was more in detail, and I'm not going to get into it that much this one. The one thing I try to do when I feel down and I feel like I am useless, I am crap, is I have to start saying the opposite. And I smile more. I'm like, I am not useless. I am beautiful. I am courageous. I am smart. Because if you say that enough, you'll start just thinking it naturally. And it may take a while, but just start saying that here and there. And say it to yourself in the mirror. Maybe like when you have some alone time, just say it to the universe. Just say it out loud, and eventually you'll probably start hearing it in your head. Whatever things that people say that you aren't, that might be getting you down, just know that they don't know you. They don't know you at all. And a lot of times depression does stem from low self-esteem and all that stuff. So find something that gives you some type of esteem. Are you good at drawing? Because maybe you need to start drawing as much as possible. Are you good at singing? Just sing. Even if you aren't good at it, but it makes you feel good to do it, just do it. You don't have to share it with the world. You don't have to tell your best friend. You don't have to tell your mom. They don't need to know. This is for you. Everything you do is for you. In the end, it really is. You can't help others until you help yourself. So do everything for you and then move from there. This is actually an interesting question from Kaylee Greer. It's a question I never get before, and I find this very interesting because it's more of a social media question. What advice do you have about getting likes and retweets on Twitter? All right. Here's the thing about Twitter that I think is very different than like all social medias. Twitter, you can literally talk to anyone in the world. Literally, all you have to do is include their @ symbol in their name and they could potentially see it. The likelihood is very low because if they're too popular, they're inundated with things, but they could still possibly see it. Everyone in the world can congregate and potentially talk to each other. Now the thing about it though, is that everyone in the world is talking to each other, so your stuff, if it's not interesting enough, is gonna just fall flat. So a lot of times what I try to tell people is try to make it more entertaining. Make it more fun. Make it funny. Make it stupid. Get someone's attention. Instead of just putting, well, today was a crappy day, even though I do that shit too sometimes, so I mean, I'm not the best at it. But instead of posting things like, today was a crappy day, maybe post a meme of something, your own version of the meme though. Don't like just take a meme and retweet it. You have to take something, maybe that's already popular, that like the Kermit the Frog meme, and turn it into something yourself. And eventually people might catch up on it. Also, you have to also like, get yourself involved in other people's conversations. You can't just like put things on your Twitter and expect people to see it. That's just not how it works. You have to get involved with other people. You have to follow others. You have to start conversations. You actually have to make the effort. You can't just expect people to find you. All right? And sure, not everyone's going to want to talk to you. Not everyone's going to want to DM you. Not everyone's going to retweet you. Not everyone's going to like you. That's fine. Just get over that. Gotta get over it. But eventually you'll find people that have very similar interests and things like that. And that starts the ball rolling. You might not be the social media guru in the end, but eventually you'll have a good following base. This is from Nerdo Supremo, or Alex Shu. A coworker just told me that someone in the LGBTQ+ community told him he wasn't valid because he's bi. Any advice? I would say, smack the bitch, because literally the B in the LGBTQ+ stands for bisexual. So their argument already is invalid. I mean, that makes zero sense. I think they need to just ignore that person because clearly they're incredibly ignorant. Why are you going to exclude someone in an already kind of pulled apart community? Like, why would you want to remove people that are willing to be part of it? I don't understand that. I never understood the idea of tearing a community apart, or even if you don't consider it them part of it, fine, whatever. They're still your ally. So don't go and sit there and be like, you're not included, because LGBTQ+ also includes allies. And sure, they're not gay, they're not bi, they're not curiously sexual, sure, but they are still part of the community because they support the community. See where I'm going with this? It's not about you, it's about everybody, hence community. I'm gonna have you look that word up, community. Look it up on Google, the dictionary, and just whatever. Actually, yeah, open a fucking book. Open the actual dictionary and look it up, the original word, and you'll understand that's not about you. Amelia Starfish says, help, I think my kitten might be possessed by a hyperactive murder demon. What do? I mean, that's just a cat. Understand that that's just a cat. Cats are all just murder demons in the end. I mean, my cat's a goddamn murder demon. I know that that's why I actually called him Dante, because he went to hell and came back. All right? He's a murder demon, but they're soft and cuddly, so you love them anyways. So just enjoy the fact that you have a cat. He is a murder demon, but that's alright. That's just cats. He's not anything special. He's not anything crazy. He's not anything weird. He's just a cat. The next question is from Helen S. What kind of perfect date will you recommend to have? You know what? Just for the sake of it, first dates. I'll go with that. But the perfect date, the perfect first date, would basically be something where you can actually learn about each other. I would say if it's warm out, go and walk around a beautiful area. That's my favorite thing to do. Because learning about someone and like embracing the area around you and like seeing something and having that moment of connectivity will be something great. It's not about what you do, it's not about where you do it, it's more about like having the ability to connect. But if you do it and it's in a beautiful place, that's a bonus. Joaquin Joseph asks, what do you think of long distance friendships? I'm gonna include the relationships and friendships in general. Long distance friendships and relationships can work. However, the likelihood of them working is very low. And I'm not going to say that they don't work because I've actually seen it happen once or twice. Sometimes you get into these relationships and friendships and think, oh, I don't know when this is ever gonna happen. They don't make the plans, don't make the effort. And sometimes it's so far. It's like 5, 6, 7 years before they graduate school or whatever and come back together. And it just becomes hard. You have to know what you're getting yourself into, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people think, oh, we'll just Skype every day, it's gonna be the same. It's not the same. It really isn't. I mean, even being an hour away from each other sometimes takes a strain on the relationship. Not seeing each other for weeks on end is a strain on a relationship. You have to be very strong and very courageous, and to be honest, you have to have a lot of self-esteem and a lot of confidence in yourself to be able to think, wow, they're not seeing anyone else, and not having that mentality of, well, what are they doing? What are they doing now? Because that can develop, because you don't know what they're doing all the time. You're not with them all the time. You haven't seen them in a while, so your trust starts to kind of just crumble because you just start making things up in your head. So, I mean, you can do it, but you have to be very strong and very loyal and very confident. And my last advice question, I'll still do a couple Q&A questions, but my last advice question comes from Lucy. Cakes Lily is her handle. What do you think would be the best way to start a conversation with your crush? To be honest, you just want to say hi, say hello, and don't necessarily go up to them and be like, I like you, you're so gorgeous, because that's creepy. No one likes that. No one wants to, don't sit there and compliment them a lot. Just kind of just casually have a conversation. You would just go up to a random person and say hi. That's what you do. I feel like, yes, we always overthink it when we really like someone. But I think the best thing to do is really just treat them like you treat everybody else. And then go to the next level of like, oh, would you ever go on a date with me? You know, I think the hardest part is like, you want to start it too soon when you see someone. You're like, oh, how do I have this conversation? I want to tell them I like them. I want to see if they want to go on a date with me. I want to do this, I want to do that. Just say hello. Just see what's up in their lives. See if they're even like sane, because that happens sometimes. All right, just saying. The first Q&A comes from Sarah Legner. What inspired you to make videos? To be honest, the one thing that inspired me to make videos is I kind of just missed performing and doing something. It gives me motivation to just continue my media career and pathway. So I thought, why not just make videos? And it gets my creativity out, and it gives me something to do instead of just sitting there watching Netflix. And I really liked the ability to talk to people. That was one thing I wasn't expecting from this, is I wasn't expecting to actually love the conversations that I'll have on Twitter and on YouTube and things like that. So that is the reason, well, among the other two. The next question comes from Kim, or Bad Gal Kiki 37. How long have you been a vegetarian? I've been a vegetarian for 4 years, and it all stemmed from a movie. I think it was called Vegucation, and I believe you can still find it on Netflix. If not, you could probably Google it and find it somewhere. But it was kind of like one of those things where I learned a lot about meat, and then after that, I kind of watched a few other documentaries about it, and I was like, I don't want to eat meat anymore. It's not really good for you. Plus, I was also very sick a lot when I was younger. And kind of growing up in my late teens and stuff like that. And I kept getting stomach issues and things like that. And me cutting out all the animal fats from my diet actually helped me tremendously. I stopped having stomach issues all the time. So I just, it was a mixture between just like, it grossed me out and it made me feel better. So the next question is from Liza. How do you keep your cool when you're really angry? Breathe. Because sometimes being angry is just not the answer, and it makes things worse. So the best thing to do is just breathe it out and get over it. The next question comes from P. Lizzle, and she asks, has Kiefer ever scared you doing something completely normal? Okay, he does something, and it just scares me because I don't really care for it. When he grabs me or hugs me or something, I hate being touched around the armpit area. It tickles way too much. And I get anxious and very scared about it. Not necessarily scared, but very anxious. And I just think about him just going there and tickling me, and I hate it. So I guess that'd be the normal thing that would scare me that he does the most, because I honestly, I hate being tickled in the armpit. Well, I hope you enjoyed these questions. If you did, give it a like, subscribe to the content. I've got plenty of advice questions to do in the future, and I have other ones that I've done before. I'll put the links in the description below, as well as to the playlist where you can watch all my advice videos, especially the one with depression and all that stuff. It's all gonna be down there, or like in one of those card thingies, so just like look for it somewhere. And don't forget, I have all my social media in the description below, as well as my other channel, WhatsItToYa Productions, where me and my friends do a bunch of goofy things like challenges and answer stupid questions. So until next time, my little questionnaires.